All right, so ready to dive into a case that kind of makes you go, uh-huh, appearances could be deceiving.
Oh, absolutely.
We're looking at Tony Ray Amati today.
Okay.
Maybe not a household name, but get this. The guy was on the FBI's 10 most wanted list.
Wow.
Yeah, they called him the thrill killer.
Oh, wow.
Wreaked havoc in Vegas in the 90s string of murders.
I see. So what's the story with him?
Well, the thing is, on paper, Amati's life before all this was like pretty normal. Moved to Vegas in 92, graduated high school with honors just 2 years later.
Okay, so seemingly normal, typical upbringing.
Right, but then during his trial, a doctor evaluated him and painted this, well, more complex picture.
Interesting.
Amati, he was smart, knew right from wrong,
Yeah.
but had these obsessive-compulsive tendencies.
Oh, okay.
And that's what gets me.
Yeah.
Obsessive-compulsive disorder. It's all about control, right?
You could say that, yeah, a lot of it stems from a need for control.
So could that, I don't know, morph into something darker?
Oh, that's an interesting thought.
Like, maybe even play a role in the crimes?
It's possible. Think about it.
Yeah.
Someone with a strong need for control, they suddenly feel like things are spiraling.
Right.
It's possible for some people that loss of control could manifest in extreme ways.
Wow, that's scary.
It is.
Definitely something to keep in mind as we unpack the rest of Amati's story.
For sure.
But before we get to other murders,
Yeah.
we gotta talk about the gun store robbery.
Right, the catalyst.
This wasn't like some petty crime either.
Oh, I bet.
Amati and his buddies, Troy Sampson and Edward James,
Okay.
hit a gun store, walked away with $30,000 in cash
Whoa.
and 75 firearms.
75.
75. It's like they were preparing for war.
Yeah, that's a crazy amount of firepower.
And tragically, it kind of was.
Oh, no.
Their first victim was 27-year-old Michael Matta,
Okay.
homeless man, gunned down in a parking lot in May of '96.
That's awful.
The brutality, it's insane.
Yeah.
Matta was shot over 20 times.
Over 20 times. That's just senseless.
It is.
Makes you wonder, what was the motive?
Right. Any idea why? Random act or something more targeted?
Unfortunately, the why behind that one is still a bit of a mystery. But just 2 months later, July 96, they strike again.
Oh, no.
48-year-old John Garcia shot to death in his own garage.
Oh, my God.
Near Tropicana Avenue.
Jeez.
Again, extreme violence, no clear motive.
It's like they were escalating.
Yeah, becoming more brazen.
Bolder with each crime.
Exactly.
And then, just a month later, they killed Keith Dyer.
Right, Keith Dyer.
His case, that's the one with the witness, right?
Yes, Keith Dyer was only 22 when he was shot 13
times, God.
outside a friend's house.
Awful.
A witness, Stacy Dooley, survived,
Thank goodness.
but was shot in the leg.
So scary.
She testified during Amati's trial.
I bet that was tough.
Chilling testimony described the killers laughing while they shot Dyer.
Laughing.
Like it was a joke.
How?
It makes you question, at what point does taking a life
Yeah.
become so detached from reality that it's seen as entertainment?
That's a terrifying thought.
It is a disturbing thought.
And to make matters worse, Dyer's mother couldn't cope with the
It's
loss.
heartbreaking.
Died a few years later.
The ripple effects, they go so deep.
They do. It's easy to forget.
It is.
But how did the police finally get these guys? Was there like a break in the case?
It was actually luck and good police work.
Oh.
Remember those 75 guns they stole?
Oh, yeah.
Well, they tried to sell some to an undercover cop.
Oh, wow. Seriously.
Yep,
What were they thinking?
I guess they weren't.
Right there on the spot, Sampson and James were arrested.
And Amati. He got away.
No way.
Yeah, and that's where things get really interesting.
Okay, so Amati's on the run.
2 years, he's using aliases.
2 years.
Dodging the law.
Jeez.
Even got arrested multiple times.
But he got away. How?
Convinced the cops he was someone else.
That's insane. Like something out of a movie.
Right. I mean, how do you pull that off for so long?
He must have been good.
He was resourceful, deceptive.
And probably got a thrill out of it.
Maybe outsmarting the authorities.
Right.
But you can't evade justice forever.
True.
FBI got involved, 10 most wanted list, America's most wanted.
That show gets results.
It does. Seeing someone on TV like that.
Hard to blend in.
Yeah, and it worked.
Got a tick.
From Georgia, March 98,
Got him.
FBI cornered him in an Atlanta hotel room.
So they got him.
They did.
But this is just the beginning of another chapter.
Right, the trial gets tricky.
Especially with that whole withheld evidence thing.
Oh yeah, Sampson and James actually had their charges dropped because of that.
Seriously.
The judge withheld evidence.
So the prosecution didn't share everything?
Exactly. Information that could have impacted the case.
That's huge.
Major legal issue, could have serious consequences for the judge.
Wow.
But for now, let's focus on Amati's trial.
Okay, so Amati's facing some serious charges.
He is.
What was his defense?
He argued he never actually pulled the trigger.
Oh, really?
Said he was only involved because he was terrified of Sampson.
So, like, forced to go along with it.
Exactly. That was his claim.
The fear and coercion card.
You got it.
Does that ever work?
It can, but it's hard to prove.
I bet.
Think of it like a movie villain forces the hero to do something illegal by threatening their family.
Yeah.
The hero might do it, but not out of free will.
I get it.
That's fear and coercion.
So, did the jury buy it?
Not entirely.
Okay.
They acquitted him of 2 of the murders.
Oh.
But found him guilty of killing Keith Dyer.
So what happened? Did he get the death penalty?
No, he was spared that.
Okay.
But received a life sentence with the possibility of parole.
So he could get out.
He could.
This really shows the balance the justice system has to find.
It does, right.
Punish the guilty, but also believe in rehabilitation.
Exactly.
Wow.
That possibility of change.
Yeah, so what about Samson and James?
Well, that's where this case takes another turn.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Another turn. What happened?
So they walk free, right, because of this withheld evidence thing.
Right. Crazy.
You'd think they'd try to stay under the radar.
Yeah, lay low.
Not Samson.
Oh, no, what you do?
Remember how we talked about obsessive-compulsive tendencies?
The need for control, yeah.
Well, it's like he took that need and just...
What?
He robbed and burned down a convenience store.
He what?
Yeah, you heard that, right?
I can't believe it. He got a second chance.
Wild, right?
And he just throws it away like that.
It seems that way.
What was he thinking?
It's hard to say.
Did they, figure out why he did it?
It seemed like he really tried to cover his tracks.
Really? How?
Cut phone lines, broke in through the roof, even tried to disable the security cameras.
Wow, he thought of everything.
Almost everything.
What do you mean?
He missed one camera.
No way.
Yep, just one.
So he did all that and still got caught.
That one camera was all they needed.
Wow, talk about karma.
Right.
So now what?
He's back in prison.
Good, facing arson charges now.
And that's right, a lengthy sentence this time.
I wonder if this is, just who he is.
What do you mean?
Are some people just born criminals?
The nature versus nurture debate.
Is it one or the other or both?
Hard to say. It's probably a mix of factors.
Yeah, true.
But in Samson's case, it seems like rehabilitation didn't work.
It's a shame the system gave him a chance.
And he chose a different path.
Crazy. So what about Amati? Where is he now?
He's currently at Lovelock Correctional Center.
And he's eligible for parole in 2038.
That's right.
So he could actually get out?
There's a chance.
How does parole even work in a case like this?
It's complicated. Each case is different.
I bet.
They look at a lot of things.
Like what?
The nature of the crime, behavior in prison, potential risk to society.
So they have to decide if he's changed, right?
Basically, yeah, they're trying to gauge if he's remorseful.
But how can you really know what's going on in someone's head?
That's the million-dollar question.
No way to guarantee it.
It's a tough job, the parole board making that call.
It's a huge responsibility.
It is predicting future behavior.
What if they get it wrong?
It happens.
Scary to think about.
What's even scarier is what the victims' families go through.
I was just thinking that. The uncertainty must be awful.
Reliving the trauma, not knowing what will happen.
That's a burden they shouldn't have to carry.
It speaks to the limitations of the justice system.
Trying to find that balance, right?
Between punishment and the hope for rehabilitation.
And sometimes it doesn't work perfectly.
No system is perfect.
The impact of these crimes, it goes way beyond the courtroom.
It does. It affects families, communities.
And it can last for generations.
A heavy truth.
It is. This whole deep dive, it's been a lot.
Amati's case, it really makes you think.
About human nature, our choices.
The fragility of life.
And the limits of justice.
Exactly.
But we're not done yet, right?
Not quite.
We still have to talk about what happens to Amati.
Does he stay behind bars?
Is there any chance of redemption for someone like him?
Big questions.
I'm still trying to process everything we've learned.
It's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, we started with this seemingly ordinary guy, Tony Ray Amati.
Right, honor student.
Turned thrill killer on the FBI's most wanted list.
It's a wild story.
It is, and the more we dig into it,
yeah,
the more questions it seems to raise.
That's the nature of true crime, I guess.
Maybe it really reveals the complexity of human nature.
Absolutely.
Both fascinating and disturbing.
For sure.
Amati's case, it's no exception.
Nope.
We've got this possible link between his obsessive-compulsive tendencies and his need for control.
Right, like it went haywire.
And then the influence of Samson.
Yeah, what role did he play?
And of course the victims, their families.
Devastate.
Left to deal with the aftermath.
It's a lot.
It is, but I keep coming back to this idea of redemption.
Interesting.
Is it even possible for someone like Amati to truly change?
That's a question for the ages. Can people really change their nature?
I mean, can you go from being a cold-blooded killer to someone worthy of a second chance?
Is redemption earned or is it a gift?
Big questions.
Huge. And how do we balance the need for justice with forgiveness?
It's hard.
It is.
In Amati's case, the stakes are so high.
They are if he's granted parole in 2038.
Will he be a danger, or has he actually changed?
Well, the parole board will have to make that decision.
Look at all the evidence, his behavior in prison, the psych evaluation.
It's a massive responsibility.
Trying to predict the future.
Based on the past.
And no guarantee they'll get it right.
That's the scary part.
It's terrifying for the victims' families, right?
Absolutely. The not knowing, the uncertainty.
It's like they're constantly reliving it.
The trauma.
Wondering if he'll walk free.
It's a burden they shouldn't have to bear.
It really shows the limits of the justice system.
We try to punish wrongdoers, protect society.
But we can never fully erase the pain.
Or answer all the questions.
I think what stuck with me the most
What's that?
is the contrast between Amati's normal life and his crimes.
It's a stark contrast.
It's a reminder that evil can hide in plain sight.
It can. It makes you wonder, how well do we really know anyone?
Right, can we recognize the signs before it's too late?
Something to think about.
It is, and so to our listeners, we leave you with this. What are your thoughts on redemption for someone like Tony Ray Amati? Is he forever defined by his past? Can a person truly change even after committing such horrific acts? Let us know what you think. This has been a tough one. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.